Thank you for watching the Clear to Close podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks. All right, Trey. Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
You have to be here. You work here, right?
Well, that's true. You guys made me.
Yeah. We've got an important topic today, one that I think people are going to be very interested in. I have been doing closings for 6-7 months now, and I've gotten several questions unsolicited at the closing table from buyers or sellers about this topic in particular. So what we're going to be talking about today is deed fraud, and it's a growing issue in our industry. So hopefully we can provide some insight and some resources for people that if they're interested in this or are potential victims of this. So starting off, can you just explain what is deed fraud and how does it impact property owners?
Yeah, so it's going to come in one of two forms, right? It's either going to be they're scamming pretending to be a seller, or they're scamming pretending to be a buyer, right? Or potentially a borrower in a mortgage. We haven't seen that much yet.
Yeah.
But it's going to come in one of those two forms.
So at a basic level, this is fraudsters trying to sell your property out from underneath you without your knowledge. And there's a couple avenues that they're trying to do that through.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, and I think we go through them as a seller. That's the more common one, right? They're not going to pretend to be a buyer that much. I've had it happen. We've addressed it, and we can talk about that story a little later. But the most primary one that you're going to find is them pretending to be a seller. And what they're doing here is they're pretending to be the owner of the property. Mm-hmm. What you're going to find is this is not typically the principal residence of someone who is still living in their house. You're going to find that it is someone who's recently died. It's a trust, a rental property, might be a vacant lot in a subdivision or not in a subdivision. Mm-hmm. Could be theoretically farmland or second homes. Going to be a big one because if you're a snowbird and you're not always up here, they might try to do it to you in the winter. Yeah, when you're not home to catch it when they're doing showings on your house. Yeah, right, and type things.
So, in most cases, these are people that are not in this country that are looking for this information online. So there's a lot of things in the public record that they're able to see who owns the property, et cetera, and they're looking for ways to pose as legitimate sellers and then sell the property out from underneath you, take the money, and then they're gone. They don't care what happens to if they sell it to somebody else or to you.
As long as they get their money, they don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just they might take a slightly different tact on how they try to get the money. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they don't actually want to own the property. They have no interest in that. Yeah. They want to get money out of it because the land's never moving. Right. But the money they can move. Right. So you're going to see that if you look in the public records, almost any piece of real estate, you can identify fairly quickly who the purported owner of the property is.
You got the auditor site on your county, et cetera, and it's pretty easy to look, right?
Yeah, subject to occasional errors with the county, subject to some complex transactions, et cetera. But at the end of the day, they're looking for things that they can do all this without raising major red flags. So, like you said, it's vacant lots. It's all kinds of different things, but they're not.
Why are they targeting the vacant lots, or like you mentioned, like either vacation homes, or if you're going in between homes in the seasons? Why are they targeting those specifically?
Well, let's look at it the opposite way. Why wouldn't they target the primary residence? Mm-hmm. They still may. Yeah. But why wouldn't they target the primary residence? Because when they contact a realtor to list the property, the realtor's probably going to go out to the property. I mean, they should probably, right?
Right. Yeah, at least put your sign up, right?
Put your sign up, take pictures, et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got that. They're going to go out to the property. And if the people are living there, yeah, they might work a 9 to 5. And if you make sure that they don't visit after 9 or, before 9 or after 5, then maybe you don't catch that. But the people living in it, I mean, at some point someone's going to catch that, right? Right. But if it's your vacation home and you know this person typically travels, and of course people on their Facebook pages or their Instagrams or their TikToks or whatever, kind of easy to find out if someone's at their house. Just a little plug, maybe not to post your vacation travel plans on Facebook till after you arrive home. But so that's why they're not targeting principal residences as much. So that means that if that avenue has been lost, then that makes perfect sense why they would target a vacant piece of property. If no one's living there, if no one's regularly visiting it, someone showing up to it, isn't that odd? Yeah. Randomly, right? Yeah. Doesn't raise that many red flags. Vacation homes, same thing. If you're not home, I mean, maybe they'll go in and take down pictures, but if you've never even seen the seller, why would you even question the picture that you see in the vacation home? Yeah. Oh, it looks like a nice family. Yeah. Whatever, right?
Yeah. So kind of to the point about never seeing the seller, why are we seeing an increase in this type of fraud and the attempts to pull it off as well?
The public records, there's a lot more available. Yeah. Right? The technology is getting better. And it's
more common in society to do things.
It's big money.
With that and just via email, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just becoming more and more common. Zoom or not, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to do things like say, I can't talk on the phone for X, Y, or Z reason. I'm in a different country right now, traveling for vacation, something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're going to do everything via email. You're also going to find that they're going to oftentimes use words that you don't typically see an American using. Mm-hmm. One of the big ones, kindly. Yeah. Kindly. It's a word that comes from colonialist England. So you do see it in a lot of the colonial expansion countries like India and those types of countries, South America, et cetera. You're going to see people use the word kindly. It's not something that most Americans use.
Right? You're talking about it's like sign off to an email.
Sign off to an email, yeah. Kindly do the following, right? It's a little outside the normal American, parlance.
Yeah, yep. So getting into, if people want to protect themselves, obviously you want to detect this as soon as possible and prevent it from happening. Sure. So what are some ways that homeowners or future homeowners could protect their property, either if they own it now or if they're going to own it in the future?
Sure. If you're a homeowner, I think one of the most important things you can do is take advantage of the tools that are available to you, especially the ones for free. Yeah. So obviously we're here in Southwest Ohio. We operate in Kentucky. There's not as much available there. But in Southwest Ohio, most county recorders' offices have a service that is provided for with the vendor subscription that they use for keeping their records online. Mm-hmm. Claremont County, Hamilton County. I mean, we can name off a bunch of them, but they all, with rare exception, have one. Whatever county you live in, contact your county recorder. If you're in Kentucky, maybe the county clerk, or whoever records your deeds in the state where you reside, and ask, do they have a deed fraud prevention tool? Mm-hmm. And the way that it works, for example, in Claremont County, TechneTitle has a couple of properties in a couple of counties, and they're all under the same vendor service. And what I did when this came out is said, I want to test it, see how that works. So you sign up for an account. It's free. You basically have to put in your name and your phone number. And you basically set up a permutation, for lack of a better word, of your name. So, if my name's Trey Barrowman, I write last name, Barrowman, first name, Trey. And then if a deed is recorded that has that name in it, you get an email notification. Mm-hmm. It's typically how these work.
And it's off your name. It's if anything's recorded in your name, correct? It's not the property.
It's not the
address.
Property,
yeah.
Correct. So most counties in Ohio and Kentucky utilize what's called a grantor-grantee index. Mm-hmm. So the name is more important than the parcel number, than the legal description. Those, of course, are important. Yeah. But that is not what's going to trigger it. It's going to be your name. So if you've got a complex name, if you're in a culture that has multiple last names, like a lot of the Hispanic cultures have a lot of like father's last name, mother's last name, you're going to want to put multiple options in there. Yeah. Right. Just so that if someone comes through with something that's slightly different, they don't put your first last name, they put just your last name, or vice versa. You put in different options. That way you get notified if any of those options hit. And you can do it for your spouse too. You can do it for any of your family members theoretically. Remember, these are public records. Right. So they don't have to verify that you're the person that is the owner of the property before they do that. It's just a notification that a document went through with this name on it.
Right. A quick plug. So we've done a bit of the work for you if you're listening to this in Southwest Ohio. We'll put a link in the show notes to our website that has a link to the auditor sites in the counties that we serve.
Sites too.
That have these that you can sign up for free, like Trey mentioned. So, the shortfall to these services though is it's a reactionary notification. You are being notified that something was filed in your name, and if it is a fraudulent deed, either these people are trying to put a deed in their name and then sell it, or they've posed as you and have sold it. So it's a bit of you're notified that something happened, but it's already it may have already been sold and it's already happened in many cases.
Right.
Is that accurate as well?
Yeah. So there's prevention and remediation in almost any problem, right? Prevention is going to be difficult here because theoretically anyone can record a deed. Mm-hmm. The county does not have the tools, nor is it required to verify that the document being recorded isn't fraudulent. They have the ability to refuse things if they have a reasonable belief that they are. Mm-hmm. But I mean, a quitclaim deed comes through with Josh Thomson on it, and it appears to be signed by Josh Thomson. He looks like he's the owner.
The old looks good to me, right?
Yeah,
stamp
it and go, right? I mean, the original joke was theoretically if it was had a grantor grantee and was notarized, you could record a cookbook recipe in the county.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not entirely true, but it's got some validity. Mm-hmm. So these people record these, they get through the prevention tactic, and now you're looking at remediation, right? Or fixing the issue or invalidating it.
So, these things you can sign up for are nice. Basically, you're notified very quickly that there's a problem. It's not like, 6 months later you're returning to your home or vacation home and someone else is living there type of situation. Right?
That's the true value in it, right? Is the immediate notification.
Right.
You can get on top of it quicker.
Right.
Because, I mean, note to you listeners, when's the last time you looked up your property on the auditor's site or the recorder's site or whatever, right? I'm going to guess unless you're a nerd like me, it's probably not that often.
Yeah.
Right? So with this tool, that thing that you don't think to do, just like I don't remember to change the filter on my air conditioning unit, that thing you don't remember to do is kind of done for you. I still would recommend that parties not rely on that as their only tool.
Sure.
I mean, check the auditor's site once every 6 months. Put a calendar, a phone calendar reminder or something like that. But there are paid tools too.
Right. There are some solutions marketed out there. So how do those differ from, what is free on auditor sites typically?
Yeah, I'll say that I'm not endorsing it, and I'm not saying that it's a crock either. Yeah. What I will say is investigate when you decide whether you want it. Marketing is great and all, and my wife's a marketing grad. She knows her marketing real well. Mm-hmm. But remember, some people can say things and not say things that they don't want to say and not say things that they do want to say, but they can also skirt around the things that they can't say. Yeah. So just be careful if you're going to sign up for these services. First, investigate how much does it cost. Mm-hmm. I mean, I looked at two of them last night before we get to record. One of them was $99 annually. One of them was $129 annually. Mm-hmm. But nowhere when I did it could I get to an actual service agreement. Mm-hmm. I couldn't. I mean, I wasn't going to sign up for it and pay the money. But I couldn't get a service agreement there. I could really delve into okay, so what happens if this happens?
Right. If there's an issue, what are they going to do with you to
fix it?
To fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
Are they going to pay for legal fees? Have no idea.
Yeah.
Is there a cap on those legal fees? Have no idea. Mm-hmm. Right? Are they going to do private investigation? Are they going to do X, Y, or Z? I have no idea.
And those would be things that we'd recommend people look into prior to signing up for one of these paid services.
Be curious.
Yeah.
I mean, take control of your own destiny in a way and say, all right, do I value this service because of what it provides? Right? Yeah. Is it worth the money for what I'm getting out of it? Sure. And that's the same with anything, though, right? I mean, I don't go to McDonald's because it's because it's a great meal. I do it because it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Right? It does the job. It does exactly what I want it to do. I had Taco Bell yesterday. It was great for the price, right? And so I'm not going to a fancy steakhouse every day. So just figure out whether you value it and whether it does what you expect it to do. There is another option when you purchase the property. So if you've already bought your property, you're not going to do this right now. But when you purchase the property, or if you're in the process of purchasing the property, there is an additional title insurance, a different type of owner's title insurance called a homeowner's policy. Might be called slightly different things based on the underwriter, but at the end it's called a homeowner's policy. And you can look at a different episode for what title insurance and title is, and we do kind of delve into it a little bit there. But one of the things that the homeowner's policy provides that the basic standard owner's policy does not provide is it provides additional coverages for things that happen after you buy the property, right? So frauds and forgeries are covered if they happen before you bought the property and you find out about them later on a basic owner's policy. But frauds and forgeries that happen after you buy the property are not covered on a basic owner's policy.
Got it.
They are on a homeowner's policy. So might be worth looking into, at least inquire whether you want to do it. I mean, there's an additional premium. It's actually extra 15 cents on the dollar, right, to get that homeowner's policy. In Ohio, you need to look at your actual rates in each of your states.
Yeah, look at your own state, yep.
And it has additional coverages, all that kind of fun stuff, and you can look into that a little deeper. Ask your title agent, call us. I mean, we can explain to you kind of how that works. If you're inquiring and you think it might be valuable. I mean, because you only pay it one time rather than paying this annual or monthly subscription fee. Yeah. So it might be a lot more worth it.
To kind of summarize that, your owner's policy of title insurance are to cover things in the past. So you purchase your home, you have your owner's policy, you own the home for 10 years, and then you're notified either via one of the this email, or you look on the auditor's site, or worst case, someone shows up and says, I just bought this home, what are you doing here? The owner's policy is not going to cover you from that. But the homeowners, so the advanced protection would cover you in that case and help you clear. Because at the end of the day, the problem that we're seeing here is these people are trying to get in and get out the fraudsters as quickly as they can. And there's a mess left over for you, for the people that think they just bought a home, and when we have to...
And for the people that still own it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
And we have to unwind it and make it correct. And that's where the true cost and headache is going to come in, is that remediation process.
Right.
So,
and then remember, if you bought a home from a fraudster and you got the basic owner's title insurance policy, that was a fraud or forgery, right? And so that should be covered under the basic one. But if something happens once you're the seller, or once you're the owner of the property, that's where you're looking at the homeowners. All information provided in this publication is for informational and educational purposes only, and in no way is any of this content contained herein to be construed as financial, investment, or legal advice or instruction. TechneTitle Agency, Inc. and the guests appearing on this podcast do not guarantee the quality, accuracy, completeness, or timelines of the information in this publication. While efforts are made to verify the information provided, the information should not be assumed to be error-free. Some information in this publication may have been provided by third parties and has not necessarily been verified by TechneTitle Agency, Inc. TechneTitle Agency, Inc., its affiliates, and subsidiaries do not assume any liability for the information contained herein, be it direct, indirect, consequential, special, or exemplary, or other damages whatsoever, however caused, arising out of or in connection with the use of this publication or in reliance on the information, including any personal or pecuniary loss, whether the action is contract, tort, including negligence or other tortious action.